Wednesday. It's Edmonton at Vancouver. Joining us to preview it is Jeff Paterson, RinkWide Vancouver, and also Catersen Price. Hey, JP, I'm going to jump right into it. Your take on this series, my man. You got a feeling of which way it's going to go?
Well, if the Canucks don't stay out of the penalty box, I think it could be a pretty quick series. You saw what the Oilers did to the Kings in round one, and the Kings were the second best penalty-killing team in the NHL in the regular season. Now, the Canucks had their moments against Nashville in the first round. Their penalty killing was terrific as well, but keeping the Preds at bay and keeping the Oilers off the sheet, that's jumping up a weight class or two. So I think discipline for the Vancouver Canucks is probably right up there at the top of the list. But look, they played hard all season to win the Pacific Division, to get home ice advantage, and we'll see what that means here in the first couple of games. I have no doubt that the pressure is on the Oilers, right? They've gone through their playoff failures here. They are built to win the Stanley Cup. The Canucks are a surprise team, but you had 109 points. You're not sneaking up on anybody now. So there's pressure on both sides. I'm not one that buys this whole narrative of, trying to heap all the pressure on the Edmonton Oilers. But look, it's Connor McDavid's time, and he still has some questions to answer come playoff time. Looked awfully good against the Los Angeles Kings. So the Canucks have their hands full. They know it. They've spent the last couple of days talking about trying to slow McDavid down. You're not going to stop him entirely. And if they get a little goofy and try and play him too hard and take penalties across the line, that's where the Oilers are likely to kill them. So the Canucks are aware of it. Now they just have to go out there and execute.
What's really fun about what we do here is way back at the start of the season, before the season, you came on here and you said the Canucks will be better. The question is how much better? And nobody saw them hanging a banner, right? Nobody did. So here they are. Is it a little bit of house money situation?
I think now that they've got through a round, to me, you have the 50 wins, you have 109 points, you win a division. It means nothing if you stub your toe and get punted by the Nashville Predators in round number one. But the fact that they've won a round of the playoffs, so many of these guys, particularly their core, Quinn Hughes and Elias Pedersen, Brock Besser, their only playoff experience to this point in the NHL was in the bubble. Like, they're going back to Edmonton, but totally different circumstances now. So, they got a taste of some playoff hockey, but in the most unique circumstances ever. And this is different now. They went into Nashville. They won all three games in Bridgestone Arena. That's a tough building to play. The fans there were nuts. I was down there for games 3 and 4. And the Canucks just went about their business and found ways to grind out victories. They weren't always pretty, but, it's not about winning 8-1 like they did on opening night against the Edmonton Oilers. It's about scoring one more than your opponent in a playoff game, whether it requires 3 overtimes, whatever. It's just, did you win? So, the Canucks have changed stylistically over the course of the season. They're a whole lot better defensively. They don't score nearly as much, but they are going to have to score more than 13 goals. They outscored Nashville 13-12. The series was that close. Now you're going against the Oilers, who can score and will score some goals. And so I think the Canucks are going to have to find a little more pop in their offense. They want to stick to their structure. I mean, they have been a really good defensive team. And of course, the hockey world now is on to the fact that the Canucks used 3 goalies in round one. And it looks like Artur Silovs is going to get the start for game number 1 against the Oilers. So thrown into an impossibly tough situation on short notice. And he delivered 2 wins in Nashville, including a shutout in game 6. But again, those were the Preds. This is McDavid, Draisaitl, and a motivated Edmonton Oilers team. So does Silovs have a Cinderella run in him? Is the clock about to strike midnight? Nobody knows, but that sort of adds intrigue to everything else in this battle of the last 2 Canadian teams standing.
Silovs was great for sure, but you've been doing this a long time, that Rick Tocchet did tweak things on the fly that I saw in their own zone to limit shots against, scoring opportunities against. And that, to me, that was a very impressive pivot by the Canucks. You talk about lack of goal scoring. They had to do that. They had to sacrifice something to help this kid, and it worked. I wonder if they can do that against Edmonton.
Right. So they believe strongly in their 6 defensemen. Like when Rick Tocchet took over last January, he always talked about, look at Vegas and the way that they've built this massive defense core, all this size and length and reach and disruption. And, he wanted to model what the Vegas Golden Knights used to win the Stanley Cup last year. It's not the same, but it's along those lines. They went out and they signed Carson Soucy as a free agent. They bring in Ian Cole, a guy that, he's at 35 now, but he's got championship pedigree. He worked with Tocchet in Pittsburgh, and they won a Stanley Cup there. Nikita Zadorov, who has been through the Battle of Alberta on the Calgary side, he's now here as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. He was terrific in that first-round series against the Nashville Predators, and so it took some of the workload off Quinn Hughes. Hughes was a target from the Predators' standpoint, and why wouldn't he be? I mean, he was circled on their whiteboard. They tried to hit him at every opportunity. I'm sure the Oilers will as well. One way you can sort of spare your star player is don't run him out there as much. And so they dropped Hughes' ice time. They leaned on some of those bigger, stronger guys that seem like they're built for playoff hockey. Hughes still had his 5 assists. I mean, he made his mark on the series. He had his moments. I do wonder if they can get him a little bit more ice time, though, because, the best defense is having the puck on your stick and moving to the offensive zone. And I think they want to play keep away, obviously, from McDavid. So I'm looking forward to the chess match. We didn't see a huge coaching chess match between Rick Tocchet and Andrew Brunette in the opening round, and those two guys are up for Coach of the Year. They're 2 of the 3 finalists. I think you're going to see more of the matchup game and the Canucks trying to figure out ways and strategies to slow McDavid down. You're not going to stop him entirely. So I think the coaches will have more of an impact on this series than they did in the earlier round.
I say it almost every day. The beauty of daytime sports talk is breaking news. Travis Green hired as the head coach of the Ottawa Senators. You covered him. You know him from his Vancouver time. How do you feel about this hire by the Sens?
Yeah, I think I hope I've escaped his doghouse now after being in his face on a daily basis for the better part of his 5 years here in Vancouver. I've got a ton of respect for Travis. He and I didn't always see eye to eye when you're a beat reporter and you're out there traveling and covering the team and you're in his face on a daily basis. I'm sure there were some questions that he didn't love. I got hauled into a couple of meetings with him along the way, but we patched up our differences, and I hope that there's respect on both sides here. I think there's some real similarities to the role that he's stepping into in Ottawa. He took over a Canucks team. Brock Besser was just breaking into the NHL. They added Pedersen and Hughes in subsequent drafts, and he saw the talent there early on and let these guys spread their wings and help them figure out their way early in their careers in the National Hockey League. And you look at them now, and Pedersen's had 102-point season on his resume. Besser was a 40-goal scorer. Quinn Hughes likely to win the Norris this year. And the Senators have a ton of young talent as well. So I think, the track record is there that Travis has proven he can work with young players. He was handcuffed a little here with the roster at the fringes and the job that management did to bring in other players. I think at the end, he was a little stubborn. The penalty kill was one of his downfalls. They were dead last in the NHL. They couldn't kill, and he kept running the same guys out. They weren't getting the job done, and people here kept asking, Travis, what are you doing? Try somebody else. You got 18 skaters on your roster, and he just kept sticking. And so I think, in some ways, he kind of was the author of his own demise at the end, but he got close to a 5-year run. When you look around the NHL, not many guys are getting 3 years now. So I know he got a 4-year contract. Good for him. He gets a little job security in that regard. But I think, and Rod, you've seen this in all sports, coaches will tell you, they're better for their failings in that first job. And I know that he was behind the bench in Jersey, but this is his second head coaching gig, taking over his own situation, coming in from scratch at the start of the year. So, I think there were some lessons to learn from Vancouver, the New Jersey experience. I have no doubt that Travis Green will be a better coach for all of those things that he has done in the past, now that he takes over behind the Sens bench.
Glad to have you on. Great analysis and answer. Thanks, Jeff. Enjoy round 2. Hope to be talking to you in round 3.
Yeah, should be fun. 32 years since the Canucks and the Oilers met in the playoffs. It's just incredible it's taken that long. And the last 2 Canadian teams standing, you can imagine out here, the fan bases are already sniping at each other, and we're still more than a full day away from dropping the puck in game number 1. So it should be a blast. Really looking forward to it.
Stay safe, for the love of God. I'm worried about people's safety. I'm not joking. And you know what I'm talking about. Wear a helmet if you have to, Jeff. Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Jeff Paterson, Rink Wide Vancouver. Give them a follow on social media and support what they do. They got the best coverage out there in Vancouver.